Today we're going to fully rely on God. Our verse is from Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Bless the reading of the Lord's word. What does it mean to fully rely on God? I know what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that I can sit around and do nothing and expect God just to take care of me. I believe we have our hearts in the right place, then is when God will have our backs. Having our hearts in the right place means that we follow Jesus' ways. And as Jesus said in Matthew 22:37, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. By doing this, we are pleasing God. When we please God, he leads us in the right direction. And if we're doing God's good works, it is then that we can fully rely on God. God helps us to do what is right. He does not do it for us. Like the saying goes, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Or you can teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. That's what God does for us. He teaches us how to love and to be loved so we may build his kingdom. As God teaches us, we learn how to do good works for his people. As we do God's work, we can be assured that we can fully rely on him to help us through life's little ups and downs. When I first heard the phrase frog, to fully rely on God, I was at a woman's conference in Kansas. I had brought some quilling pendants that I had made to help raise money for the conference, and I offered one to the main speaker, Reverend Dr. Zena Jacques, and was surprised she took a frog instead of a sunflower, seeing how we were in Kansas, the sunflower state. When I asked why, she explained, the whole rely on God, and it stuck with me, because I'd never heard that before. And then as I was preparing for this sermon, I remembered a time at another conference in Green Lake, Wisconsin, with my mom, sisters, friends from my sister's church, and myself, of course. We were all at a rental house for the week on the conference center grounds. And as I was going up the steps, I laid my hands, on the railing of the steps to go up. There's this little frog. He was no bigger than a pencil eraser. I almost laid my hand on him. I just thought he was the cutest little thing, made a big deal of it. My sister found a little frog at a souvenir shop that I still have. It's a little bigger than what he was, but it's an itty-bitty little thing that I keep sitting around. And, I had been going through some struggles and was starting to go to these conferences with my family, leaning toward God again with the support from my family and the AV women family. And as I look back, that frog had to be a sign. God knew I would remember that time and use it to provide a sermon one day. Here I am. Isn't our God great? He shows me all the time how I can always rely on him. I don't always see them at the time, but I'll see them eventually. If we pay attention, he shows us signs along our journey to remind us he is there to guide us through life's struggles and successes. Throughout the Bible, we hear stories of how God's people got through some rough situations by having faith and relying on God's love. For instance, Daniel in the lion's den. Jealousy brought forth a law that forbid anyone to pray to anyone other than King Darius, or they would be thrown in the lion's den. And Daniel always prayed to God 3 times a day in a room overlooking the city, opened a curtain so everybody could see him praying. And then some of the men who were jealous of Daniel went to the king, told them what they had saw, and eventually had the king throw Daniel into the lion's den. But with Daniel's love for God came protection. He was not harmed. And the king turned to God, declaring Daniel's God is great, and ordered everyone in his kingdom to respect the Lord God who rescued Daniel from the hungry lions. Then there was David and Goliath. During King Saul's reign, everyone was afraid to fight the Philistine giant bullies. what they were. They were giants, they were bullies, you know. And David, the youngest son of Jesse, had decided he would stop the bullying. He was only a boy, but he trusted God and knew he would keep him from harm. So King Saul dressed the boy in armor to protect him from Goliath, who was one of the giant Philistines. The armor was too heavy and bulky. You know, David just gets very uncomfortable. So instead, he went to a small stream and he found 5 smooth stones. You know, what is that going to do? You're getting ready to fight a giant. You go to, get 5 little stones out of a river. He put him in his pouch around his waist, and with his sling, he went to Goliath. Goliath's looking at him, just laughing. David looked up and told him, Goliath, you fight with a sword. I come with God on my side. And today, everyone will know that there is one true God in this land. As Goliath approached David, David reached for a stone, put it in his slingshot, and he shot Goliath right between his eyes, causing him to lose balance and fall flat on his face. David won because he relied on God. One last example is the fiery furnace. You had King Nebuchadnezzar. He had 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He threw them in a fiery furnace for not worshiping his 90-foot statue that he had built. And these men knew that God doesn't want them worshiping anything other than God. After the king gave them a chance to explain themselves, the men told him they would not bow down nor apologize for not bowing down. If we're thrown in the furnace, the God we worship will save us. He will rescue us. And as the men were put into the furnace, the flames were so hot it killed the soldiers who were pushing the 3 men in. As the king looked, he saw 4 men. There was only 3 that he put in there, but all of a sudden there's this 4th man that appeared that looked like an angel. Nebuchadnezzar came as close to the furnace as he could and shouted in the doorway, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, followers of the Most High God, come out, come here. The 3 men were not harmed by the fire at all, not even singed. They fully relied on God who came through for them. When we fully rely on God, He will provide for us in so many ways. A new job, new friends, a baby, unexpected money in time of need. Are you needing something from God? Walk in His faith and ask Him for it. Seek and knock. He who seeks finds, and he who knocks, the door shall be opened. I found a few verses pertaining to relying on God. In Psalms 9:9 states, the Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. Psalms 18:12, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. Psalms 37:5, commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. Psalms 37:39 and 40, but the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord.